Gobble till you wobble, baby. What's up and happy Thanksgiving, y'all. To the world. Let's get lesson 4 in, titled, Thankfully, Gaining Weight Over the Holidays is Not a Curse, but a Choice. So let's get it. Thanksgiving. First, little thought on that. We all are thankful for different things and for different reasons. And especially, as time goes by. I remember being thankful for like Nintendo, cheeseburgers, things like that. Now I'm thankful for all the people who've played roles in my life. Obviously my mom, my family, my teachers and coaches, friends, and even parents of friends, and you know, successors, and people that I've followed, that have created things like this that have helped me, and hopefully these things will help you. I'm thankful that I was born in this country, even with all her faults. I do believe it's the best place in the world to live, and now, as things progress and I'm moving towards different things in my career, things like likes and subscribers, are things to be thankful for. So, although it feels that way sometimes, we did not get here alone. So let's be thankful for what we have. Send out a prayer, you know, in thanks, and also for the health and betterment of all. So let's go. Let's talk a little bit about not gaining weight on the holidays and a few other mindful things to consider. So thought, as your days have gotten longer, your lives have gotten shorter. So what do I mean by that? As your days have gotten longer, your life has gotten shorter, getting shorter. So as your responsibilities increase from hanging out with friends, part-time work, high school or college courses, and they start to metastasize or develop into real bills and rent and mortgage and car payments, and pulling off major tasks in your days with much higher consequences of failure. Your days get long, right? But it's all killing you, right? And day by day, if you've done the lesson, I think it was lesson 3 on squaring up your life, a little exercise to talk about how much time you have left and how you're going to spend it. What you realize is, man, the world is passing me by, and it's hard to even do the things I have to do, let alone the things I want to do. So it's hard to keep a hold of the ropes all the time, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Taking time and turning it into something useful instead of something that just passes by and we deal with. So talking about time, there are 3 general elements, which is the past, the future, and now, which I like to call nowness. Because nowness is a whole other concept, right? The past, hopefully your past is filled with great memories and minimal regret. If not, I'm glad you're listening to things like this to try to provide less regret in the future. We can say, we cannot say what the weather is going to be in the future. Some people think they can, but there's probably another agenda behind that outside of you and I's well-being. But on that note, we don't make predictions about the future, nature, events, what somebody or a group of people may or may not do, but we can absolutely control our own destinies and our own futures by using our nowness effectively. But one thing we can probably all agree on, that at least yet, we haven't figured out a way to go backwards and change the past. The past is gone, no matter how recent it is. We can't change it. We can't do anything about it. It was the last word I said was the last word I said, right? They're gone. So outside of the fact that I do these live, I don't go back. I may in the future, but I don't go back and take out my and things that I reiterate or repeat. It might help you guys in the future when I start having the time to go back and do that, because it'll shrink some of these down a little bit in time. But there's my when things are past, it's past. You can't go back and change it. Can we agree on that? So the future, they say we can't control it. I say they're wrong. We may not be able to predict, but we can control. So, and the only way we can control, and the only way we can make predictions, is by how we use the now. So let's talk about the present, right? We've heard this analogy before, like the present is that a present, it's a gift. And I would say it is. And when we're going through our long days and our responsibilities and our tasks, it's really easy to forget this. But today, this life, this nowness is a gift. It is life. Life happens in the now, right? So let's take hold and take control of the now, because it's the only thing we have to affect our futures. Because life cannot be lived in the past or the future, but only in what we call the nowness. The nowness is hard, though, right? It can present obstacles. Now insinuates a level of required haste or hustle or completion. And unfortunately, we allow our brains to see this as work or tasks or something not enjoyable, or not with immediate gratification, which is a trap. Ironically, what you put off because you don't want to tackle it today because it's difficult or hard, eventually comes back in the future as a present, right? But now with shorter deadlines and increased levels of stress, and likely also increased chances of you half-assing it rather than doing it in quality, making you even more unlikely to attack the present as you go through life, because even the future results of your work today are not great because you're not doing them with quality, and you're not doing them with positivity, and you're not doing them with reason to actually change or improve your future. So another part of the problem I find is that when we're kids or young adults, we're often bailed out, even coming from a not so great socioeconomic background like myself. Not a whole lot of money in the picture, not even always all the utilities on because of the money not being in the picture, and on down we go. But even in that environment, I was bailed out, several times, mistakes that I made, whether it be money or love or it's okay, I was bailed out, and you were probably too. So what happens is people don't want to see you go through, anything negative. So they provide a softer landing, or soften the consequences from the reality, because they don't want to see you go through the struggle. So, but once we're in control of our own lives, right, and we have real adult problems, we make the consequences for our poor decisions hold less weight also, until, of course, it's too late, right? So we laugh it off, we put it off, we put ourselves last, and until we get the bad blood work, until we get diagnosed with diabetes and from being overweight, and until we get heart disease, until we have a heart attack, until we can no longer do the things we enjoy, and then this will sometimes come with another cop out and mentality that we'll talk about in another lesson. But quit holding less weight to how you're making decisions today and how it's affecting your future. We all have the overweight friend that is to the point where we're all concerned about them, right? But they laugh it off and they make jokes about it, and they try to make the consequence for their actions and their decisions minimal, and it's not. It will come back to haunt them. So make your gift the present, right? The present, the now, is your gift. It's your life. Use it. Do with it what you can. This is the only moment out of the three, right? Past, present, future, that you can actually make decisions in real time about actually shaping your future. That's powerful. And that's something that I would want to leave my son. That's something that I would hope that you would want to, throw a little practice into and potentially teach, the young ones to look up to you. But this is where all the one-liners come from, right? This is where all the one-liners about, making decisions and how fast life goes by come from. This is where the songs come from. Have you ever heard Kenny Chesney's Don't Blink? If not, look it up. I don't care if you don't like country, read the lyrics. It's unbelievably true. And this is what I mean when I say, as our days get longer, our life gets shorter. Don't get caught up. Plan and make your future, or your future is going to come anyway, right? And it's not going to be how you planned it. It's just going to be a conglomeration of your stress and ill-fated attempts at understanding things this simple. So concentrate on it. Okay. So it's Thanksgiving, whatever that is to you. Whatever you're thankful for, it probably goes back to previous lesson 2, about what your world is. That's probably what you're thankful for. That probably comes up, right? But take a day like today, to, instead of saying, well, I'm going to be a glutton today, right? I'm going to be a bunch of things that involve overeating and overconsumption and over this and over that, are tired and not positive, right? So, and that's why once you do that, you sit on the couch and don't feel well. But make subtle changes. You don't have to not have the pie. You don't have to not try the sweet. You don't have to not have something that has fat in it. But make your portions triad sizes instead of, golden corral sizes. Make subtle changes. Graze instead of mass eat. So just make subtle changes, even on a day like today, and you'll be amazed at what happens over time in your future. So start making decisions like the person you'd like to be. In a perfect world, I wouldn't be 50 or 80 pounds overweight. And that person in that perfect world would make different decisions than you're probably making right now, or decisions that you've made in the last 10 years or so. So make decisions that the person that you would ideally want to be would make. One of the things that I would say, when I was doing general personal training and things like that was, if you want to look like the person that can do pull-ups, you got to be able to do the pull-ups, right? That's it. So, you've got to start thinking, would the girl who wants to be a professional skier miss training or leg day or overconsume food or alcohol at every opportunity she had? No. Right? Would the person who cares about his future financial success give up on college or the avenue of learning some other skill? No. And by the way, not unless they're watching their parents and other people that they look up to make the same mistakes and quit the same way. Would the person who remains fit into their 50s and beyond allow a few weeks around the holidays to just dismantle their entire year of healthy habits and decision making? No freaking way. And so these are the people that we look at, and life doesn't affect them seemingly, right? They don't gain 10 pounds every year or even 5. So this is how we gain weight, by the way. It doesn't happen after the holidays. It doesn't, a pound or two. Yeah, this and I jokingly have told my wife in the past, like, oh, I lost a few pounds, and it's like, okay, great. I could poop that out, so, or water fluctuation can change that. So, make little, subtle, progressive changes in the positive directions that we speak of, and things will change. But we don't gain weight day to day, week to week. We gain them over time, so it actually takes time. And what happens is you look back after 10 or 15 years or 20 years, and maybe you've only gained, let's call it 15 years. Maybe you've only gained 3 pounds on average every year. Well, now you're about 50 pounds overweight, right? So that's how it happens. And then all of a sudden we get like overwhelmed, and it's, too much of our nowness has been wasted and is now in the past, and we're living in that future that you created. So let's start making the changes so that your future past is better. So if you want to look like the person that can do pull-ups, you got to be able to do pull-ups. You know, the people who can do pull-ups have generally made better choices about what they consume and how they exercise. You know, genetics is a cop-out. You know, I'm here to tell you, there might be some doctors and some people who aren't doctors who don't know anything about the body rolling their eyes right now because that's what you've been sold your entire life. But I'm here to tell you, it's not nearly as powerful as suggested, and it's not ever as powerful as your daily choices and the environmental stresses or stressors that are epigenetic or above and over genetics. Genetics are leads when you're looking for answers, but it's not always evidence, if that makes sense. So think about that a little bit. You get a cancer. Oh, was there a family history of cancer? Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. You know, it's not all your fault, you know, or whatever. You know, cancer may not be the greatest analogy or example because it is certainly a non-discriminatory disease, but you can also increase and decrease your chances of getting that, correct? So using that as an example, many things are not as genetic as you think. A lot of us don't even know our genetics. We don't even know exactly our family history. So what do we just say? Well, I must have had that genetic. I mean, so like I said, it's in there, it's in your DNA. But generally, a lot of these things are environmental stresses and or decisions that made the environmental stressor that created the real change in your body or your brain. So, so how do you not gain weight over the holidays? You don't be a slob, right? You eat to live. You don't live to eat. You graze. You take small size portions, as I mentioned, instead of mounding your plate like a buffet. And keep in mind, there are young ones watching you, right? There are young ones watching you from the time they're born to the time they're off at college, and then they're still watching you. And they're taking note and they're learning from that. And they're either going to create the same habits as you, or they're going to realize that, you know, your chance at your nowness was bad decisions, and now your future and your nowness is unhealthy, and they're doing things differently. Hopefully they take that effect. A lot of times what happens is you know, they learn to do things like you do. So be a good example, be an adult in the room, and control your desires every now and then. You know, most of our positive thoughts around these holidays and the foods that we enjoy do not automatically come with the reality of enjoying foods, which is feeling gross and lethargic, you know, and sitting on the couch all day and falling asleep watching TV. You know, so but it is about enjoying the foods that we don't get to eat all the time, enjoying the family and the friends that we don't get to visit with and unplug all the time, you know, and enjoying some of the fruits of our labor and the nowness decisions that we made that are now our future slash present now. Crazy, right? Anyhow, let's get on it. Make decisions like the best future you would make. Enjoy your families. Stay safe out there. See you next lesson. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You don't have to do or pay anything. It just makes me feel loved. All right. Peace, y'all. Love you and see you next lesson.